If you are visiting Rocky Mountain National Park this year, you probably need an extra reservation to get into the park. So today I want to show you the process of getting this reservation and explain to you how it works, who needs it, when you'll need it for, all of the things. So stick with me and I will make sure that you have what you need to get into Rocky Mountain this year. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and I have been to Rocky Mountain almost every year since they started using this reservation system. So I am very familiar with it. I've used it a bunch. I know how to get these reservations for you. And so today I want to talk you through what you need to know so that you can get what you need to have a great time in Rocky Mountain. The reservations that you'll need this year are called timed entry reservations. And you will need one of these if you want to go anywhere in Rocky Mountain National Park. This is essentially an entrance reservation where if you want to go into the park, anywhere into the park, then you will need this reservation during the peak season. The peak season dates when you'll need these reservations start on May 24th and go through either October 14th or 20th, depending on which reservation you're getting. But essentially, through October, you'll also need these reservations. Looking at the Rocky Mountain National Park website, if you come down here, so it has the dates that you'll need it for and the times that you'll need it for, but also it has this little table which you'll want to pay attention to because this tells you when the release date is for the reservation dates that you need. So for example, if you plan on going to Rocky Mountain, let's say August 15th, then you'll find that date over here, and then you'll find which day those reservations will be released. So in this case, that would be on July 1st at 8 a.m. And you'll want to put that on your calendar as soon as possible because the thing is if you are not there at 8 a.m., there's a good chance that you won't get the reservations that you need. So make sure you have it in your calendar. Make sure that you are ready to go at that time. But you'll want to refer to this table and find the date that your reservation gets released. There are two different types of reservations that you can get for these timed entry reservations at Rocky Mountain National Park. The first, it's just called time entry. It's their basic reservation, and that is to get you into the park anywhere except Bear Lake. So looking at a map of Rocky Mountain National Park, you can get in any of these areas. Up here, here's the Trail Ridge Road, which is the main road through the park. You can come in through this side, the Grand Lake side. You can do that. You can get into all these side areas like Longs Peak and Wild Basin. But if you just have the basic timed entry reservation, you cannot drive on the Bear Lake Road, which is this area right here. If you don't plan on going to the Bear Lake area during that day, then you'll want to get just the regular timed entry reservation. You'll pick a time slot between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. They're 2-hour time slots, and those are needed from May 24th through October 14th. These timed entry reservations are only good for one day, so you'll select the time that you want to go through the entrance station when you get your reservation, and then you'll need to enter the park at that time. And then after you do that, you can come and go through the park as needed throughout the day. You can leave, you can come back. You have a lot of flexibility there. The only thing you can't do is drive on the Bear Lake Road. The second kind of timed entry that you can get for Rocky Mountain this year is the timed entry plus. That includes Bear Lake. So again, looking at the map of Rocky Mountain, the timed entry plus will get you everywhere in the park. Everywhere. So if you're wanting to go into Bear Lake and do some hiking, there's a lot of really good hiking back in here. This is the busiest part of the park, which is why the reservations are a little bit more strict. The timing is more strict. They're harder to get because everybody wants to come back in this area. So to drive on the Bear Lake Road, you'll want the timed entry plus reservation. That is needed from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. from May 24th through October 20th, 2024. So again, the dates are a little bit longer. The time frames are longer because it's just so competitive to get back in there. And when you're getting this reservation, you'll sign up for a 2-hour time slot. You need to enter the Bear Lake Road during that 2-hour time slot. Then you can leave Bear Lake. You can go see other parts of the park. But if you leave Bear Lake, you can't go back in with your reservation until after 2 p.m. So it's a little bit more complicated, but just know when you're getting this reservation, you'll want to get the time slot that you plan on being at Bear Lake and driving the Bear Lake Road. And then stay there as long as you want, and then you can't return again until 2 p.m. You can go out and you can go to all the other parts of the park though. So if you want to spend the morning at Bear Lake and then you want to drive out and go drive the Trail Ridge Road and do some other activities outside of the Bear Lake corridor, then that's just fine. This timed entry plus will get you into all of those areas. This reservation is also only good for 1 day. So if you plan on going to Bear Lake for multiple days, you'll need to get multiple timed entry plus reservations. If you plan on only going to Bear Lake on one of the days and then you want to explore the rest of the park on another day, then you'll get a timed entry plus for your Bear Lake day, and then you'll get a regular timed entry for the day that you don't plan on going to Bear Lake. Now, one very important thing to note about these reservations is that they will get you into the park, but they don't guarantee parking. And so just because there's this timed entry reservation system in place does not mean that you're not going to have a hard time finding parking. The parking is still crazy. The lots still fill up. You'll still have a hard time getting parking if you don't plan out your timing well. If you would like my advice on exactly when to be where so that you can avoid the parking issues, so that you don't get stuck in traffic, so that you're able to do everything you want to do, and if you also want my advice on which time slots I would reserve for these reservations to really work with your schedule and help you avoid those crowds, then be sure to get a Rocky Mountain itinerary from dirtandmyshoes.com. I'll link it in the video description below so you can check it out, but it's super helpful for helping with these reservations and navigating the crowds and getting parking. One last thing I want to talk about before I show you how to actually get these reservations and walk you through the live process is there are some exceptions and instances where you don't actually need the timed entry permit. So a couple of things you can do. You can enter the park outside of the hours that you need the permit for. So if you're going to other parts of the park, you can enter before 9 and after 2. If you're going to Bear Lake, then you can go in before 5 and after 6. So that is one way to work around needing this reservation. Another way is to get camping reservations in the park. They have to be the in-park campgrounds. And some of these campground reservations will even count towards your Bear Lake, your timed entry plus reservation. So that's really helpful. Again, looking at the map of Rocky Mountain. So you have a campground over here on the less visited west side of the park, Timber Creek. If you get a reservation here, then you get basically the timed entry reservation that I'm talking about here, not the timed entry plus. So your reservation at Timber Creek will not get you into the Bear Lake area, but it will count for the rest of the park. If you come over to the east side to Aspen Glen, Moraine Park is included in this, but it is closed for 2024, and Glacier Basin, if you camp at any of those, then that will give you essentially the timed entry plus reservation. That's what it will count for. And so you can camp in either of these and get into the Bear Lake area with that reservation. There's one more campground, Front Country Campground in Rocky. That's the Longs Peak Campground down here. This is a first come, first served campground, and so you need an entrance reservation to even be able to get in here to snatch up one of those first come, first served sites. So this one doesn't help you. You'll need to get your timed entry reservation separately if you want to camp in this campground. For the campground reservations, you can enter the park at 1 p.m. on the day that your reservation starts. So you can't be there all day. You have to enter at 1 p.m. or later with that campground reservation. Some other options, if you're hoping to get into the park without getting the timed entry reservation, is you can get a wilderness permit if you plan on backcountry camping. You can bicycle into the park if you want to ride your bike in. You can also schedule a horseback riding tour, which operates within the park, and that tour will get you in 2 hours before your tour time. The last thing that you can do that might be helpful for you is you can reserve a spot on the Hiker Shuttle. This Hiker Shuttle leaves from the town of Estes Park and takes you to the Bear Lake Park and Ride. And so that gets you into the Bear Lake area, but you do need an extra reservation for this shuttle and they can be really hard to get. Just know that that is an option as well. Now I want to show you the entire process of getting these timed entry reservations. So I'm going to walk you through it and show you how I get these reservations and what you can do to get these reservations for your upcoming trip. Okay, so I am here at Recreation.gov, which is the site that you'll use. You want to search for Rocky Mountain. You can just go straight to Rocky Mountain National Park, or you can do the National Park timed entry, which is what we need. Either way, you can get there. Okay, so then when this pulls up and you scroll down, you'll notice you have the option for the regular timed entry or the timed entry plus, which includes Bear Lake. You'll have to do these separate, and you only need one per day. And so if the day that you're trying to reserve, if you don't plan on going to Bear Lake at all, then you'll want to go to timed entry and just get one of those. If you do plan on going to Bear Lake, then you're going to want to try to get one of these. The timed entry pluses go faster, they're harder to get. So if you need one with Bear Lake, then go ahead and go for it. But if you don't, it will be much easier to get the regular timed entry. Let's go into the timed entry plus. Okay, so then when we get in here and you look at the calendar, so you'll notice these all say NR, not yet released. And as we scroll through, all of these say NR because they haven't been released yet. If they're blocked out in gray, then that means either that you don't need one for that date, which is the case over here, or once these ones, they'll turn to blue when they're available, which we'll see this morning. You'll see that they'll go to blue when they're available, but if they all get snatched up, which they will, then it will go back to gray, most likely for a little while until they get it set up for the ones that you can get the night before, the last minute ones. When they get it set up for the last minute ones, then everything will go NR again. And so people get really confused by this. When you get in here, it's probably going to look different for you than it does for me right now. But if you click on the date, then you'll notice down here it tells me when these will become available. And so if you have a question, if it says NR, if you click on it, it should tell you when you can come back to get these tickets. You'll also notice in here, again, these aren't available yet, but you'll notice the entry windows that they will have available when these go available. And so you'll want to pay attention to that too. And the more that you know before you come in here and before these open up, the better off you'll be, the more likely you'll be to be able to get what you need. And so I would definitely take a look at the various entry windows that are available before you actually have to make this reservation so that you know what time you want to go for, what time will work for you, any of that. Just any preparation you can do beforehand will help you as you come in here later. And one last reminder is this is where you'll get the schedule here on the Rocky Mountain website. I will link this in the video below, but this is the schedule. So if you're planning on visiting the park during these dates, you'll want to get the corresponding release date and time. The time is very important. You want to be here right as soon as they open up for the best chance of getting what you need. So I like to get in here a little bit early and just get myself set up. The clock is about to turn to 8 o'clock Mountain Time. And so these are going to become available really soon, but come in here before, make sure you're logged in, make sure you're either at the right, timed entry plus or timed entry, whatever you need to get, and be ready to click on the date that you need and the time you need as quickly as possible. So I'm going to do this real quick, and you'll see how fast I try to be. I'm even going a little bit slower for the sake of this video. But as soon as that clock turns 8, you really want to be there to request these tickets. So here we go. You can see they all switched to available. Let's go in June when the Trail Ridge Road is open. I'm going to do a Saturday in June, you only need one ticket for your vehicle, and then click on that time and request tickets. And again, you're going to want to click that request tickets button as quickly as possible. As soon as 8 o'clock comes, you're just going to go boom, 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 and get it in there as quickly as possible. But you can see that I did get what I asked for. And so I'm going to scroll down here. Yes, I understand. Don't add a site pass. Just do that when you get to the park. It's really kind of a pain to do it here on Recreation.gov. Make sure that you are reading through all of this, and then you can proceed to cart. And I have what I need in here. Now, if you're going to be visiting the park for multiple days, then you'll need multiple reservations. And so that's, at this point, I'm going to go to continue shopping. And you start the whole process again. This time, I just need a regular timed entry. I don't need the Bear Lake Day. So come in here. Let's see, we got the 22nd for that. We'll do the 23rd for this one. Again, only one ticket needed. And then you're going to select your window. This one has a much shorter window. Remember, these hours are much shorter if you're not going to Bear Lake. And so it's not as competitive, and also you don't need a reservation for as much of the day. And so you'll want to pick your window there. This happens. Sometimes it's a little stressful. Too many people. Nice. You just keep trying. I get all sorts of different error messages, and sometimes this just scrolls, and sometimes this just goes on forever and says we can't do it. Let's see. Let's refresh our page and see. Try it again. There's still tickets available. It's just, there's a lot of people trying to get tickets right now. So you just keep trying. Okay, there we go. So it let me in. I had to try several times. I had to keep trying. That happens. That's totally normal. It's very stressful when it does that, but it's totally normal. So you just have to keep trying. Sometimes it does just get really frustrating when everybody's trying to get one at the same time. And so again, you'll want to make sure you read through this and proceed to cart. Make sure we get that in our cart. If you need another one, because I recommend being in Rocky Mountain for 3 full days if you can, then you'll go to continue shopping again and you'll get the next one that you need. Again, you'll want to try for the Bear Lake Road ones first because those will go faster. Those are much more competitive. This regular timed entry is a little easier to work around too. Like if you don't get it, there's a lot of good ways to not have to have one and still be able to get into the park. So it's really the Bear Lake Road one that you're going to want to focus on because that one is harder to visit outside of its entry hours when they require these. And it's much more difficult to get parking. It gets way busier. So just keep that in mind. At this point, I have what I need. So I'll proceed to payment. I'll put in my information here, make sure all of this is correct. And then when I complete my payment info and I get that all in there, Recreation.gov will send me a receipt and they will also send me my actual timed entry permit. It's the actual timed entry permit that you need to bring with you. It has a QR code, it has your dates and everything like that. Don't bring the receipt. You'll need the actual timed entry permit. And so that's what they'll be checking when you go through the entrance station. You'll definitely want to print this out, especially if you plan on going to some of the outlying areas where it needs to be displayed in your car if you're not going through the entrance station. So keep that in mind. I will release these back out so that other people can get them. I don't need them this summer, but hopefully this walkthrough has been helpful. I hope that walkthrough was helpful. I have had really good luck getting those reservations as long as I'm there right when they open up. But if you're not able to get those reservations, again, you can do some of the things that I mentioned before the walkthrough as far as how to get around needing a reservation with some of those camping reservations or going in early, things like that. You can do that. You can also try that whole process again the night before you need the reservation at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So they will release 40% of their entrance reservations the night before 7 p.m. Go on Recreation.gov and try for that reservation again. In my experience, I have found that it's much harder to get the ones the night before. A lot of people are trying for those. So hopefully you can get these advanced ones based on the table of when they were released. That's the best time to go for it. But if not, there are some ways to still get your entrance reservation or to work around needing one. I hope this video is helpful for you. Remember to check out the Rocky Mountain itinerary on dirtandmyshoes.com if you want my complete suggestions, tips and tricks, everything you need to know about Rocky. I also have a bunch of Rocky Mountain trip planning videos here on my YouTube channel, so subscribe and go watch those if you need additional help for your Rocky vacation. I hope that you have a great time in Colorado and happy trails.